Welcome back. Today we have to modify a few things in the camper box. First thing is venting the cabinet that houses the oven and stove. It gets pretty hot in there, and the stove itself has a safety that shuts it off when it's too hot. So when it's warmer out, the stove doesn't want to work too well. Basically, it needs ventilation. So that's going to be the big project today. Savannah's also going to be working on custom steps for the dogs to get in and out of bed, something that fits in the space a little better than the ones we've been using.
And the last project is a shoe rack, because underneath our booth is a complete disaster and we need shoe storage desperately. So this week is so many changes to the inside of the camper that really affects our quality of life. So yeah, a lot going on this week.
Lots of little projects. We're gonna jump right into it, see what we can knock out today. First thing today, we're going to be working on venting this cabinet, and in order to do that we got to take the stove out, which means I'm going to have to remove this drawer to get under there. It's probably going to be a little bit of a pain, but shouldn't be too bad. I don't think I have to completely disconnect all the lines. Nope, pretty sure that exhaust has to be disconnected and the power line. The fuel line should be good. Yeah, there's no way. The exhaust is kind of fixed at this point, so.
Already minus 1 point for this project.
I hope I'm wrong, but I'm pretty certain that's going to have to happen. Okay, can I get in here? This is a little bit awkward. Oh yeah, I can't really see it, but. Okay. It's really hard to get the wrench in there. This one unclips, so that's easy. This is the controller. Turn it on and off. That just unclips. We can do that. The question is, will the exhaust reach? It is a flexi tube, so it might. Alright, I'm going to try to push it up and see if you can guide it. I don't know if it's going to go. Nope.
What's caught?
Power. Just fighting with this wire, hoping I can unclip it. It's really hard because you can't see what you're doing. You gotta do all this stuff blind. It seems like everything's catching, but ultimately I think the fuel or the exhaust. I don't know. I feel like I could bend it, but I feel like everything's just holding it back. Just connected the exhaust. Now we're gonna find out if the wire or the fuel line are not gonna let it lift up.
Third time is the charm.
I think we're gonna probably have to do more, but we'll see. Oh no, it feels a lot.
Oh.
Okay.
We can definitely, yeah.
Hold on, I gotta figure out how to set this somewhere without. Maybe I'll just spin it over.
Can you go that far?
Fuel
Well,
line.
even just setting it forward like this, it helps a lot, you know.
Does that work? Is it stable?
You can see how much the color of the countertop has changed since we installed it. The first thing that we're gonna address is the crack in the countertop, which is the bane of my existence. This countertop looked so nice when we installed it, and as we said in our recap video, it has just been moving around ever since. This countertop is shifting and bowing, and it's just so much worse than any other type of wood that we've had, and we've had 3 other butcher block countertops. This is the only one that's been beech wood, and beech is horrible. I cannot recommend it at all. But this crack right here, it pretty much happened immediately, and it just got really, really bad. As we went out west, the humidity decreased. It spread apart to probably 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. It's so bad when it's dry, but with the humidity, it's gotten really small. So I have these little metal pieces that I'm gonna screw in wherever it doesn't interfere with the countertop. Maybe right here, and then one underneath. Let's just see what we can do with this, because I can't get a clamp on it because it's against the wall, so I can't clamp it and push it together. We're just gonna do the best that we can and see how it works out.
All right. Oh, it's moving. So I guess if I hold it like this. Oh, it's moving. I can definitely get it closer. So if I hold it while we splint it, it might work. And that's a lot of force though, but it will move.
Okay, this is the moment of truth. Will it hold?
It's holding now.
I think it looks pretty good. It's holding. Over here. Wow, that's a really big improvement. But I think I'm gonna add 2 more 90-degree ones underneath the butcher block that attach it down to the cabinet. I mean, that should give it a lot of stability, but that'll give it all the anchor points we possibly have to work with. If it separates after this, there's no hope for it. I don't have anything else to anchor it to. It already looks so much better. Could fill that a little bit, sand it down. You might not even be able to see it. The next part of this project is installing a vent to the outside. The whole compartment underneath the stove, behind the oven, it really needs to vent to the outside so that when we put the fan in there, we can get the air circulating and push that warm air right outside. So now you know what time it is. It's time for more holes in the camper. All right, let's check it and see how it turned out. Hopefully we didn't go into anything and we measured right. It looks pretty much perfect.
Oh.
I think it's perfect, yeah. Right in the middle of everything, misses all the wires, and it's right in between the oven and the stove.
Here we go.
We can only drill from the outside. We can't use the drill on the inside because our oven is right there. So if we drill as far as we can and then kind of pour out the foam, we can keep going with the hole saw. A little bit harder, but I think removing the oven is even worse.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's give it a shot.
The last thing I'm gonna do is add this little piece of screen into the back of the vent. It has mesh in the back of it, it comes like that, but it's so big, I feel like a whole mosquito could fly through there. We definitely don't want bugs behind our cabinets. This is a little bit finer metal screen, so I traced the vent and I'm gonna push that in there and give it a few little dollops of the adhesive around the edge, and it should keep it in place. There is a little lip in there, like a little gap, and honestly that would probably keep it in place. Maybe if it was a house that would be okay, but since we drive and with the vibration, we like to adhesive everything in. All right, that should do it.
This fan doesn't originally come with the stovetop. If it's in a bigger compartment, it's not really needed, but our compartment's kind of small, so it can get pretty warm in there. So they've made this accessory for that situation. So we got this from Scan Marine. It comes with the grate already on it and the screws, which is really nice. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna mount it to the sidewall, hole saw through there, so then it can pull fresh air from the cabin in across the bottom of the cooktop, should cool it down. The extra heat should be able to go out the vent. The nice thing is this was made for the stove, and it uses an accessory power point that's on the stove. So it'll come on automatically with the stove. I didn't have to run an extra wire, and I don't have to flip another switch. It's nice they've built this add-on accessory option for a situation like ours with the small cabinet. We'll install it, and I think it's going to make a huge difference because it should push all that excess of heat off of the stove. Another hole. We're just putting holes in everything. Oh yeah. There we go. Unfortunately, you're never going to see this because I don't think it's the most attractive looking thing ever, but most of the time it'll be behind this.
No.
Whew. That's how you do it, folks. I just wanted to get the pencil and the screws down here.
Wow. I thought this whole case of drill bits was going down on the top of your head.
Luckily I put my hand on it, so I kind of noticed it. But it'll be blocked. Not blocked where it can't let air in, because there's a big gap. But you won't see it pretty much ever. So that's good, because it's kind of ugly. Okay. Stove's back in. Got the fan mounted. Just have to plug it into the stove and should be good to go. Okay. Plug that in. I'm actually gonna wire into this one eventually. But is that wrong? There it goes. And we'll probably want to zip that wire up too, so it's not free. We can't possibly like touch a stove or something. The addition of yet another fan. It's not the quietest stove in the world, but should operate better.
Fan did add a little extra. A little check-in here from our very first meal after all of the stove upgrades. I made some pasta, so I used the stove to cook several things, boil some water. I used it for quite a while, and overall it just feels a lot less warm. So the fan and the vent are definitely doing their jobs. You can just feel over the countertop, the front of the cabinet, the inset planter box, all of that is so much cooler. And it makes me feel a lot better that it's all vented.
The bigger test will be when we run the oven and the stove at the same time, because that was when it was getting very warm, but I'm more than confident it's going to do the job. So that's a big thumbs up for this project. Moving on to the next one.
Today I am working on some new dog steps. Well, actually it's going to be a dog ramp. We decided not to go with steps. This whole area just needed a redesign. We bought these foldable dog steps last winter when Mateo had a back injury, and it was right before we were about to leave to go out to Arizona for a few months. So these foldable steps were a great option because it allowed both dogs to get up and down from the bed without hurting themselves, because the bed is really, really high and we didn't want Mateo to injure himself again. But fast forward to now, the steps are so annoying. They're in the way of all of our drawers. They just get slid back and forth through the kitchen all day. I'm afraid they're gonna mark up the floor. So dog steps have done good, but they've run their course. So I have a new design in mind that will do the same things for us, but be a lot smaller, lighter, foldable. We can push it up and out of the way. So we'll see if the idea in my head actually translates to real life. Let's make some dog steps today. Dog ramp. Let's make a dog ramp today. guys ready? Are you ready? You want to try it out? You want to try it? There's a treat up here. Do you want to try? Give it a shot. It's your steps. Come on. Are you ready? Good job. Good job, buddy. Good job. Pablo, you don't get treats unless you use the step. Get down. Good boy. Up, up. Yes, good boy. Good job. I don't know if 2 dogs are supported on here, but good job. You guys are just eating treats. You're not doing anything. You're just eating treats. Come down. Good job. Up, up. Good boy. Come on. One of the most important things that had to happen in this new design that we did not have with the last steps was being able to open our freezer without making any moves, without moving anything or folding anything. With the last steps, the bottom step was in the way of the freezer and you had to move it every time, slide it out of the way. It was really annoying. So with this, Mateo, excuse me, you can still open the freezer and the ramp is a little bit taller and you can still open the fridge. That is necessary for this design. I want to move it as little as possible, so it has to stay out of the way of as many things as it can. But the fridge is a really big one because we open that a lot. How do you like it? Do you like it? Up, up. Up, up. Good job, bud. Good job. We've been using the dog steps for the last few days. That was really the true test of them, is if they work in daily life, if the dogs actually use them, if we can get them out of the way for the things that we need in the cupboards or to do the dishes, and they work fantastic. So happy with the design. It's a little bit unconventional. It's kind of a ramp step combo, but they wouldn't use a full ramp, and I did mock up some steps for them and they didn't like those either. So the combo does the trick, I guess. I don't know. They're also really easy to move out of the way. I just did the dishes, I folded them up onto the bed, I was able to stand right in front of the sink. We like to leave it on this side because the drawers over here we access a little bit more than the pull-out pantry or any of that. So I think we came up with a system that works. It's certainly less bulky, and I do not miss pushing those steps back and forth every day, all day long. So we are on to the next little project in here. This is definitely not a big project, but it's one that I've been looking forward to because this is something that's driving me crazy, and that is underneath our booth. Where the table sits, it's open underneath, and it is just a catch-all for all of our crap. Really, all that I planned for under here was shoe storage, but I think because there's no actual system for the shoes. We just throw them under there and then it looks like a pile of nothing, and so everything else gets piled on top. All that needs to be down there is shoes, the vacuum cleaner, the little bin of dog toys, and then my backpack will get slid in the front because I'm in and out of that all day long. Everything else has gotta go. We are in desperate need of some organization under here. I'm gonna have to count how many pairs of shoes I have now. No joke, Drew has 2 pairs of shoes. 2. I used to have 5, I think, but I may have collected a few more recently. So I'm gonna have to count, see if I can fit them all under here. A good way to do this is that if I don't have space for it, they're not fitting under here, they gotta go. I would just like to say for the record, the guys have way more toys than I have shoes. And I think we're gonna need to clean out some dog toys because we are overflowing the bin. All of their toys used to store in the old dog steps that we had because they were hollow, so you could store things in there. And I got their old bin out that we had in the bus because I needed a place for their toys now that the steps were gone. And they have so many more toys than I even realized. And they only play with half of them. It's just like kids, right? Do you think we could get rid of a few toys? Are you telling me we need every single one of them? We have to keep all of these. They're all very special. Okay, we can keep them. Okay, we'll keep them. So I lined up all of my smaller shoes. I also have 2 pairs of boots, and so I decided I'm not even gonna worry about those on this panel here. There's a small opening behind me that's a little storage compartment in the couch. So I'm gonna put the 2 pairs of boots in there, and then this can be for the smaller shoes, which most of my shoes are smaller, like sandals and small sneakers. So they mostly all fit, except this pair, which I think I could double up. I think with the little ones I can put them in like stacks of 2, but I think this will work pretty well, honestly. And if this is getting overloaded, I know that I need to get rid of some shoes. This will be a good gauge as time goes on. Like I said, Drew has 2 pair of shoes. He has a pair of sneakers and a pair of sandals, and I don't even think we can find the sandals right now, so I'm gonna count him out from this scenario. I'm just gonna take over this shoe storage section and we'll figure him out later if he gets some more shoes. Now that I know that it'll work, I can actually start measuring and get out into the workshop, start cutting some wood. Okay, so it is day 2 with this shoe rack. I coated it with the General Finishes polyurethane, just because shoes are gonna be going in it that could be wet or dirty. So now that that's done, I have the bungee cord that I'm gonna feed through all the holes on the end pieces, and then we can install it. It's always nice to finish up a project, put all your stuff back into that area. It's the best moment. It feels so good, especially in this really small space. Being organized just feels so much better. When it is cluttered in here, it is a nightmare. So this little shoe rack will help a lot with that. We have very little floor space, so if there's a lot of shoes out, it gets messy so quickly. But I'm really happy with how it turned out, so I'm just gonna put the couch back together, put everything back in there, like my backpack, a few other little things, and we'll be finished. Three huge projects out of the way. As I said before, this really changes how we exist in the camper. It's such a small space, 75 square feet, so every little change that we make makes a big difference. The dog steps honestly change a lot for us because we can fold them down or fold them up and we get all of our floor space back. And Pablo and Mateo can actually get up on the bed really easily. So it was really cool to build those from scratch and kind of see that vision come to life.
Yeah, they're definitely much more functional in the space, and they're easy to completely remove and reinstall as well. So definitely a big upgrade overall.
That's all we have for you today, and we will see you next time.